Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Chewy here for Wicked Gaming. I'm here to talk to you about the next epic survival game that has recently been announced called Ark: Survival Evolved. The survival genre is probably my favourite style of game that is around today. The tension, the open world gameplay, and the story is what I love about it the most. Yes, the story in these survival games is key. Now I'm not talking about the classic story in computer games with the linear events and all that sort of thing. I'm talking about your character's story, the story of your character's life from the moment they appear, wherever it is that they're lost, to the time that they die, whether or not it is in a heroic way or whether or not they die in a silly way or get murdered by a person that they were trying to rob. Your character story is organic and fluid and amazing in this survival genre. Ark, like many other survival games in the past, like DayZ, Rust and H1Z1, starts you off with nothing. From my understanding, somewhere between DayZ and Rust. In DayZ, you at least start with some clothes and a torch, which you tend to drop straight away, but Rust, you spawn naked. Really naked. And from what I can tell from the announcement video, you have some sort of undergarments on when you start the game. So there apparently is quite a bit of lore and backstory to this game, which other games don't really have. I don't know it at the moment. I'm really hoping that it becomes apparent throughout the gameplay rather than having to research stuff on the internet outside the game. From the looks of the video, this game will come with all your standard survivor games mechanics, such as needing to eat and drink, and I'm also assuming there was some sort of purification process for preparing drinks. And the different drinks will provide different stats depending on what you have. There are also mechanics in play like that with food. Now what's interesting about this game compared to a lot of the other survival games where food is food, Ark actually has a nutrition table, so you have to have a balanced diet in order to be able to be healthy. And I would really like it if you could maintain that certain balanced diet and improve your stats as a bonus for being able to make sure you're eating all the right food groups. The only other game where I experienced this need for a balanced diet was with Skyrim, but that was only when it was modded to the bejesus, and there were some mods that made you have to eat like that. Now it was a little bit tricky to maintain that in that game, but then again the game was not set up for that sort of gameplay. It was just modded, so hopefully this will work really well. So the big thing about Ark compared to the other games for me is dinosaurs. Hell yeah! From the looks of it, there's obviously going to be carnivorous and herbivorous animals, which is fantastic. So unlike DayZ where you see a zombie and it's going to try to kill you and eat you all the time, you might get to see some animals that are just going to ignore you until you annoy them enough to skew you on a horn or something like that. It's amazing! Now, to me, at this point, I was already sold when I first saw the game, but it just keeps getting better and better the more you look into it. Now, the dinosaurs are tameable, so everyone who dreamed of having a pet T-Rex to ride to school, like me, this is now the time. From my understanding, there's a mechanic that basically involves you beating the poor thing nearly to death, and then you nurse it back to health, and then it loves you. Now, you can either rush this or take your time. There's benefits either way. If you rush it, you have a pet dino really quickly. But there can be some problems, like it might misbehave a little bit. Now, if you got a little Shih Tzu and it misbehaves, it eats your socks, okay? If you have a pet Velociraptor and it misbehaves, it eats your upper torso. So take your time with your large carnivorous animals, I'm imagining, and they'll and there are many benefits to having a well-timed dinosaur. So many experienced survival game players like myself have had to sit there in the past and make this crucial choice. Do I take this stick that I might need to make a splint or start a fire with, or do I take this can of beans? I don't have enough room for both. Well, if you've got a new dino buddy, he can help you carry your stuff. So imagine how much stuff, say, a brachiosaur could carry. That's a huge animal. And the items are where the game becomes a bit more like Skyrim than other survival games. Your items in your bag don't take up space. They have a mass, so you have only a certain amount of mass that you can carry. And certain animals will only be able to carry a certain amount of mass, certain dinosaurs, so you'll be able to pile it onto them a bit more than you can yourself. Now, not only can you ride the animals, they are also able to be given commands. So you can use your Triceratops to charge through another player's gate of their base, while you ride in behind on the back of an Allosaur. It's not quite clear to me at this point how many animals you can control at one time, or if it's different depending on species or skill points, but I like to imagine having an army of dinosaurs running around me while you raid other people's bases. Truly epic. Your dino buddy will also defend your base while you're asleep, which is a big thing in this game because, like Rust and Reign of Kings, your body is left behind sleeping on the ground while you're asleep. Perfectly murderable, catchable, draggable, lootable, all those bad things that you don't want to happen while you're not at your keyboard. So a flock of dinosaurs watching over you while you sleep makes you feel a little more confident when you log off. Different species of animals come with different skills and abilities, so you can choose the most appropriate animal for the task at hand. Things like the Velociraptor are all about speed and attacking, while some of your large herbivores are all about carrying lots and lots of things in exploration, as well as being able to fly on a pterodactyl. That's just a brilliant idea. Not all the animals in the game technically existed. Well, there's some versions of animals that are around, like the giant scorpions that you can ride on. Now, I don't know if there's any sort of poison system in the game, but that would be a great way to use their stinger in that. But also, we can't leave out the most important feature that we saw in this video, that there are fire-breathing dragons. Now, I want one. I don't know if you can go all Khaleesi tame them as the mother of dragons and fly across the countryside setting fire to villages, but that sounds amazing, or if they are purely an untamable NPC. There is a base building system in the game which looks sexy as hell. The process of first making a basic base, then reinforcing it in order to make it more difficult for the hordes of marauding survivors to be able to take your wonderful things that you have collected and made throughout your time playing the game is amazing. This also gives a home for your pets who will be there defending your stuff while you're logged off as well, and also offering them protection from just random animal events appearing around them. Now, as everything has a mass in the game, as I mentioned earlier, you also need to reinforce your building so the weight of that massive machine gun that you put on the roof won't cause it to crash under its own mass. There are also structural weaknesses that people can take advantage of, so you really have to think through the construction of your base. On top of this, you can then farm within your walls so that you don't have to go out hunting and gathering every time that your group needs food, or your pets for that matter. So everything in the game is either player made or comes from airdrops, supply drops. Now, I don't know how the supply drops will be arriving, whether or not they're called in or a random event, but you can't just wander around building to building style and hope to find the AKM stop sticking under the bunk bed around the next barracks. Everything from bows to spears to sniper rifles to saddles for your dinos and everything in the buildings has to be crafted by players. Now, you can't go the H1Z1 route of just throwing bits together and hoping that you'll discover a new thing to be able to craft. You have to find blueprints and discover them all based on a skill-based system. Now, like many games with skill systems, you can either decide to concentrate on one form or another and be more of a generalist, so if you want, you can add more points so you can carry more weight, or you can concentrate on improving your fast firing machine guns or your sniper rifles, or even your dinosaur training areas. It's just a matter of your playstyle and choosing the way that you want to play the game for your character. The map itself is fairly large. It's about 48 by 48 kilometers. Now, this is not in the same territory as DayZ or Skyrim or GTA 5 for that matter, but it is around the same size as, say, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. It is a highly detailed world with many forests, gorges, mountains and seaside beaches for you to go around to explore, and it's all made in the new Unreal 4 engine, which, if you haven't been living under a rock for a while and not seen any of the playtests on YouTube, it is absolutely gorgeous, and this game takes full advantage of that technology. Now, I did mention if you're living under a rock you might have missed that, but under the rocks in this game you've got a massive interlocking cavern system you can explore in groups and parties in order to find the best loot, the best mines, and be able to craft the best items and find all of the rarest, well, not all of the rarest, a whole bunch of the rarest blueprints will be discovered through exploration. From my understanding, many of these zones will actually require you to form groups in order to be able to successfully handle them. Some of these caves will lead into others and end up deep within the earth. Apart from it looking stunningly beautiful, underground as well as above ground, this adds a third dimension to your exploration that should allow you to play this game for a very, very long time, and I'm hoping that it will be a large part of your character's development. Another thing that is very interesting about this game is that it is being developed directly with the Oculus Rift and VR in general in mind. So other games with VR will be backwards compatible. In other words, they've patched it to be able to make the VR goggles and the Oculus Rift work with that game. So this one will come out of the box ready to go and developed hand in hand, so it should work extremely well. Now, I have not had the opportunity to play with VR goggles myself, but Wicked recently had the opportunity to play with them. He just told me his mind was absolutely blown, which just makes me even more excited to have an opportunity with one of these. For all of those of you who are very interested in character customization, this one is ridiculous. It's in the same vein of Reign of Kings, where you can give yourself a huge body and tiny little stumpy dwarf legs if you want, and also you can choose what gender you want to play as well. You will be able to customize your armor and your dino armor so it looks a particular way, though from what I've read that's not going to be available on release. It is a bit further down the track. They want to iron out the actual gameplay mechanics before they start working on such cosmetic items. So the things I'm most excited about for this game is things like riding a T-Rex into battle. Who doesn't want a pet T-Rex? I'm also for some really good roleplay experiences as well. A lot of survival games can turn into a bit of a death match very, very quickly, depending on server and the mindset of the people. And I don't mind being murdered early by a well-geared person when I've just spawned in at all. But what I really enjoy is when people go out of the way to make a roleplay out of a bit of a game. It makes it more fun for them, more fun for myself. So maybe it's like a corrupt police officer in H1Z1. I'm also pretty excited about the base building. When I play H1Z1, that's mostly what I do, is develop the bases that I'm building, try to make outposts and interesting areas around the map. And in this game it looks particularly sexy, and I cannot wait to start building structures around the place. Another thing that I'm really looking forward to is discovering the story behind this game. I've been told that there is quite a bit of a backstory, a bit of lore. There's that thing in the arm that you see in the video. I have no idea what that is, and I want to find out in game. I don't want to have to go to theories on the internet and read on forums. I would love this complicated cave system and this highly detailed map to provide the answers through exploration. You sort of piece together what you found out and hope that eventually it forms a image and story so you know what has happened on this world. The single player aspect of this game might reveal a lot of the story as well, and I will be playing the single player a bit, but mostly I'm going to be playing the online version just so I can enjoy that organic nature of the content and the potential of player interactions. That's what I'm going to be playing the game for, as much as riding Tyrannosaurus Rexes around the place. I'm also very excited for mods. They are going to be opening modding to this game, so people will be able to work with Steam Workshop and produce mods, upload them, and have lots of fun. Being able to mod the game does sound like an easy way for people to hack, but as I said, it does go through the Steam Workshop and then it has to be verified. If you're not using verified mods on your game, you'll stand a very good chance of getting kicked and banned on your account. They also seem to have a very clear definition of what the difference between a mod is that benefits the game and just changes your overall gaming experience and what is a cheat. The game is going to be first person only. I'm not a huge fan of this decision. I do know why they did it. It is meant to make the game a whole lot more immersive, not being able to see yourself, though you do get a third person view when you are riding dinosaurs. I liked having the third person view in, say, DayZ, just because, well, it does give you a bit of a strategic advantage, which your opponent also has, but also enjoy looking at how survivory I look and watching the progress of my gear improve throughout the game, as well as also having a better idea just how well you are camouflaged in that bush and whether or not something will see you, though I'm not sure how important the stealth component of this game will be. So you might be wondering, when's the game coming out? Well, I found out about it really late. It's going to be $25 on early access on Steam, and that's going to be on June the 2nd, 2015. Last I heard, could have changed, it might be wrong. Now, I said it is going to be early access. Basically, you're paying to be a beta tester. I don't have a problem with this. In fact, most of the games I play today are early access games. I do get a little frustrated though. A lot of people complain about it being buggy and things not working and things changing. Well, that's a beta. You are buying an unfinished game. But from what I understand at this point, I could be wrong, but you pay the $25, you get to beta test it, and then you should get the full version of the game for free at the end of it, which means you end up getting a very awesome game for a fraction of the final selling price. The other great thing about playing these betas is that you get to have a pretty good look at the development, and you can get a rough idea of the thinking process of the game. You get to see how the developers change the balance, the way the thing works, fixing bugs, how they prioritize things, and I find that side of working on early access games very interesting as well. So if you are interested in survival games at all, I'll be jumping on this one. You'll be able to find me on there. We will be making some more survival game type videos on the Wicked Blue channel. This is my first video with Wicked Gaming on my own, so I'm pretty excited to see what you guys think. So don't be too mean in the comments below. If you are interested in this game or heard about it or think I said something wrong about the game, feel free to correct me in the comments. I'll read them all and try to get back to you on all of them. So feel free to find us on all the usual social networking outlets, Facebook, Twitter and Google+. This is Chewy from Wicked Gaming saying